Hello everyone and welcome to a very special episode of the Mark and Me podcast. As always, I'm your host Mark. Now this is the first in a number of specials dedicated to my weekend at 2000 Trees. For me, probably the best festival in the whole world. The atmosphere is incredible, the size of the festival is perfect, everyone is there to have a great time, there's no dickheads, and I just love every moment from the time I get on site until I leave. I've now got the blues since the festival because it really is that good, and the lineup as always was unbelievable. So to start things off, I'm joined today by an absolute legend, one of my favourite singers on the planet, from one of my favourite bands on the planet. I'm lucky enough to be joined by Andy Hull from the awesome Manchester Orchestra. Now, you will know if you've listened to Mark and Me before that Andy has been on before. We recorded last year in Manchester, backstage, before one of their very intimate shows. This band have had a huge impact on my life. I truly believe that if I'm in the mood just to listen to any music, I can absolutely listen to anything. But if I'm in a mood where I really want to feel something and have an actual real experience, I always choose Manchester Orchestra. They have been this emotional support band for me, and I've got through the hardest times of my life, and I really hope that they know just how important they are to people. Andy is one of the nicest people as well. They say sometimes never meet your heroes, but this doesn't work with Andy because he's an absolute beautiful human being. He's so accommodating with his time, and we just get on really well. It was a pleasure to see him again, and I can't wait to share the interview with you. So I think the best thing to do is to get straight to it. So here's me and Andy talking all things Manchester Orchestra. I'm going to look forward to saying these words, my friend. Welcome back to the Mark and Me podcast.
What an honor.
I know. Last time we talked, and you were very open and honest. I think we talked about I Believe I Can Fly being your first ever song.
Yep,
so you
right.
didn't, no bullshit with you. You were very open and honest.
Yeah.
And I kind of
strong to say R. Kelly just right off the bat. Yeah, I don't know what the hell I was thinking.
Dude,
actually,
we weren't
in
even
retrospect.
30 seconds in, but
No,
you did it.
It's just the truth. Space Jam was a big movie. So
It was a hell of a big movie.
Yeah.
So on the way here today, I was thinking, what do we talk about this time? Do we talk about first gigs? Do we talk about the festival? And I just said to myself, let's just see where the conversation goes. And what I thought of doing, because everybody's going to talk to you about music and everyone's going to do this, I just thought, let's just fucking talk film for a bit.
Let's do it.
And I was wondering, because everyone's going to tune in and hear about bands,
Yeah.
what's your first memory of watching a film? So, I know you love film. I know you do scores for film. I know you watch lots. So I was wondering...
It's
For
funny,
me,
man, because I'm
you know.
in this period of time with my kids. My daughter just turned 10 yesterday, third year in a row.
Happy
I missed her
birthday.
birthday, Father of the Year again.
Live on the podcast, happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday, Maisie.
Yep.
And my son is 6, and so it's starting to get to this period of trying to show her, things that are like, interesting, that are sort of above the level. So a lot of it has to do with comedies. That was a lot of my childhood. So it was like, What About Bob, Groundhog Day, Stripes.
Groundhog Day is my dad's favorite film of all time.
So it'd be like that. And What About Bob is my dad's favorite. So I grew up on comedy. I guess the first real I'm literally trying to go in the memory bank would be like Indiana Jones. I remember watching that. Ninja Turtles, maybe, some that early 90s era were some of my first memories. I think the first good movie that I ever saw was on a cruise ship. They had an edited version of Good Will Hunting, and that was the first.
That's a beautiful
that was the first
film.
good movie I ever saw.
And I remember my parents taking me to the cinema, and so I'm 42 now, so it would have been late 80s. And we went to see Back to the Future 2.
Okay.
I hadn't seen the first one. My parents suddenly on a Saturday morning thought, we'll take our son to see the second one. And it was one of the films where I remember, as it ended, it gave you the trailer for the part 3.
Yeah.
How fucking cool as a kid was it knowing that they had already filmed and got ready the next installment? You don't get that now.
It was amazing. I guess we kind of got it at the end of the Spider-Man multiverse movie.
Oh,
last
yeah.
year.
Marvel kind of do it a bit with the teasing.
Like that, yeah.
But you don't get a trailer like full on, like, look at the scenes where Marty's
didn't they
now...
do it at the end of 1 as well? So, like, at the end of 1, he pulls up and he's like, we got to go to the future. So, like, they did the same thing in
where we're
1.
going, there's no roads,
right,
yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, man.
I mean, that movie, the sequel of that was such a cool creative as a kid. Like, oh my God, what could the future be, you know?
I remember going to, it was called the Gleeblands Fields, which is like where people build dens. And me and my friends, about the age of 8, hand on heart, believed that if we got our keys from one of our parents' cars, we would somehow be able to make the flux capacitor work.
I love that.
And I really wish I could go back to those days where no one would tell me that's not going to happen.
I know. No, it's a beautiful thing, man. Like with my kids, there's this like beautiful imagination as well. And I think a part of like songwriting even and like why I do what I do is because my imagination is still so important to like pretend and make believe and write stories and, you know, be inspired by real life stuff and then try and find, like I'm reading the Stephen King book on writing right now, and he says a story is
that book is amazing.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
He says a story is when two completely unrelated things smash together and surprise everyone, and I really, really love that. So yeah, I think there's something amazing about imagination, and that's still, I get to like hold on to.
Do you now, so did you say your daughter's 10 yesterday? Mm-hmm. Do you now get to watch those films for like the first time through her eyes? So are you watching and she's picking stuff up and you're like, oh man, I didn't see that as a kid?
Totally.
I mean, this is beautiful.
Yeah, definitely like watching What About Bob again, and now it's just sort on. It's such a nuanced movie. Luckily my daughter's really funny, so is my son, but like I've been showing her the appropriate funny stuff that I can since she's been a kid. So like she's well versed in Saturday Night Live and sketch comedy and an improv, and you know, there's this beauty to these moments that they'll find funny that I'm like surprised that they actually like get it, you know? Like in What About Bob when he asks the wife, he goes, Linda, is this corn hand shucked? It's amazing.
And where was it that you kind of realized that you were going to love film? Because people can say they are a fan of film, but I think people love film. And I then started to notice themes. So I was watching, my dad wanted me to not have any kind of restrictions with horror, so he was like, here's awesome. John Carpenter's The Thing.
That's
and I'm like, Dad, this looks real. And he's like, it's practical effects, son.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay, so it's not CGI, and it's now, I understand why that looks now great. And then when I saw Big Trouble in Little China or The Fog, I was like, I can see it's the same. And he's like, that's because it's made by the same person.
Yeah, right.
And I was wondering if you ever had that moment where you clicked or you saw certain film posters or actors that were in a franchise or something that you were like, yeah, I really fucking dig this stuff.
Yeah, it's probably going to like trace it to like my whole history of songwriting just because of how desolate it is. But I remember as a kid in Toronto, my neighbor going to his house and be like, dude, my parents just bought this, and it was the VHS for Terminator 2.
Oh my God.
But I was such a kind of, I was a good kid. I had a conscience, and I knew I wasn't allowed to watch rated R movies, but I was like, I know my mom's not home, I know my dad is, I'm going to go take this movie over to my house and see what he says. And I was like, can I watch this movie over at Daniel's house? And he was like, yeah, it's okay. and I remember like that, just like the, it's the opposite of Back to the Future and just how horrid the future is portrayed there, but that and like the storytelling and the danger and the bad language and the violence and T-2000, it was like, my brain exploded.
So how old are you at this point?
7,
Fucking
8,
hell, dude.
Maybe.
I thought I was good that my mum and dad were like, you can rent any video you want, and I went to, it was like Blockbuster Video, and it was like, what do you want to rent? And I was like, Alien 3 at that point.
David
and they
Fincher.
were like, you're not having that, it's an 18. And I'm like, please. And I watched it, and it fucked me up a bit, because I was like, oh, I wasn't ready for this. I was a kid.
Is Alien 3 the one where there's like a timer that's going on? It's David Fincher directed that movie.
It is, yeah. It's not as bad as people say.
Yeah.
It gets a lot of grief, but I'm like, it's fun for what it is.
Yeah.
But my dad said to me, I literally talked about this with Cross's Chino last week. There was a video cassette that they would not let me watch.
Okay.
And it wasn't porn or anything like that. I wasn't like, what the fuck is this? And it was Silence of the Lambs.
Okay.
And my
I
mum
got
and
a
dad
great
were
Silence
like,
of the Lambs story for you too.
Well, there we go. They were like, this is the one you're not watching.
When I was in the 8th grade, Hannibal came out, and my mom took a trip for the weekend. So my dad rented Silence of the Lambs, and we watched Silence of the Lambs after school, and then we went to go see Hannibal in the theaters.
Jesus,
and I got a
man.
double dose of that. Yeah, 8th grade. That movie messed me up in the best way, you know? It was just the best thing I'd ever seen. But I was 13, 14, you know? It makes this a little more appropriate.
One other that they were like, we don't really think you should watch it yet, was Poltergeist.
Okay.
And,
that's a good one, too.
But I watch it now and I find it like a comedy.
Sure.
But I think it must have been just the TV set and her Caroline, like it sticks with you.
And it's a child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's probably a bit like,
I think they were right about that.
We don't think you're right about this.
Yeah.
But RoboCop, Enter the Dragon, everything else was fine.
Those are great, though. I mean, I get it, man. Yeah, absolutely.
So where did it actually go on from there? Did you
I had
ever
a movie theater in my, like, almost near my neighborhood,
Yeah.
like in a shopping complex, and I would ride my bike as often as I could to the movie theater and chain it up and go see as many movies as I could, you know. And I've just been obsessed with movies and film forever, you know.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of like a slow period the last couple months to find like newer stuff. So I'm kind of waiting, you know.
So my wife bought me, because I was like, I want to go to the film cinema, I want to see Wilson, and she bought me, like, over here we got like Cineworld Unlimited cards. So
Okay,
like,
cool.
It's like
That's
equivalent
awesome.
of like $15 for you, and you go as many times as you want in a month. And I haven't used it yet, and I've had it nearly
Really?
2 months, and I'm fucking hating myself.
Yeah,
for
you
it.
need to go do that.
But everyone's telling me to go and watch Longlegs.
yeah,
new
same.
horror.
I've heard that. Yeah, I've
That's
heard
meant
it's
to be
great.
absolutely
Yeah.
awesome. But I'm
Kinds of
trying to-
Kindness. I'm excited to see that.
A lot of people are saying it's not very good.
I don't
but
care what anyone says.
No.
I don't care what anyone says about anything unless they do that job.
That's a lovely way to say it. That's fair, and it's true, and it's valid.
And I'm guessing they don't like it because they thought Poor Things was cute, and
Yeah.
they don't really understand what a sick fuck that director actually is. You
That's
know?
fair.
Go watch Dogtooth and tell me if you think the new one's
man,
weird.
that's fucked up. But I'm getting excited again. I feel like people that are making independent film now have got a chance of getting their work out there. It feels like a really good time to be a filmmaker.
Well, there's a beautiful thing about music, and I don't know if I said this on the podcast last time, but there's a beautiful correlation between music and movies, and that's that if you have enough creativity, you don't need money to make them great.
You never said this, and that's poetry.
And it's true.
Yeah.
Where television's tough because it's always going to have, there can't be independent television. There always has to be advertisers. There always has to be a company that always has a say on something. So you get lucky with stuff like Soprano, like HBO, that the series, or the period of time where there was like really prestige television. You know, and you get stuff like Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. But it's also just it's harder and harder for that area to kind of break off and do independent, interesting stuff, where film and music is always, you know, especially with technology now, like you're always going to get great stuff because you have people with great minds.
Do you want to do more with film? Have you got a film in you? Have you got a short story? Have you got another soundtrack, a score? There must be more to you than just,
Yeah, I think so.
I'm happy where I'm at with Manchester Orchestra.
No,
You must be.
Yeah, I think, you know, I'm working on a really, really long story that I've been working on for a couple years, really since like 2016, 17.
Are you allowed to tell me
I'm not,
anything about it?
Not really, because it's all connected. So it'll be like, I don't know, it's
Oh.
like a reveal of some sorts eventually. Maybe, or I'll scrap it.
Well, when you're ready, come back on and we'll do a whole episode.
Yeah, no, I try and kind of follow the music, follow the muse, follow the thing that's giving me life at the time, and I imagine there will be a period of time where it's like, all right, man, it's time to, you know, learn how to write a screenplay and do this thing, but storytelling is becoming more and more, even more important to me as I'm getting older.
We have to I know that people will be saying to me, you got Manchester Orchestra back on and you didn't fucking talk about their set or sub-headlining 2000 Trees and all this. And as we're recording right now, it's the afternoon and you're playing tonight before... Is it sub-headlining, isn't it? It's
then Gaslight.
You guys
Yep.
and then Gaslight, which is a perfect match.
Yeah, it's
throw
awesome.
in Thrice and you got the best trilogy
Yeah,
ever.
oh, I love it.
And I was wondering if you feel nervous, because it's a different crowd. Last time I saw you, it was the most intimate gig in Manchester. It was just two of you stripped down. You could hear a needle drop at times.
Yeah.
Tonight's a completely different ball game.
Yeah, it's like I tell my daughter, she says like, I'm afraid, you know, of like a recital or something. I'm like, well, that's not fear. It's just, it's excitement and anxiety, but that doesn't mean fear. And so it doesn't matter, man. I could be playing a cookout for people that aren't paying attention and I'm still going to be nervous. I just always have been. But I also feel like very accepted and loved by this country, and getting to play here, I just have a feeling it's going to be great. And we know what to do. We'll go do it. It'll be very different than the last show you saw.
Yeah. Do you know what? It's been a while as well since you guys have played over here electrically, because obviously the gigs got cancelled because of COVID. Then the acoustic stripped down first shows got cancelled.
Yep.
Then you finally got to come back, but it was stripped down. And I'm like, I know, I'm a fan of your music. You know this, but I am so excited just because you're back and it's actually happening now.
Oh yeah, awesome, man. I hope everybody feels that way.
There's a buzz, dude. Like, there's a real good vibe, and I've been doing interviews all day today, and everyone I'm talking to is like, I can't wait to see Manchester Orchestra.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm not trying to make you nervous.
That's amazing. No, that makes me happy.
It's going to be fucking, like, 2 years ago, Freister up there.
Oh, cool.
And it feels like another legend now goes and takes that spot, and I just think, I don't know if you're ready for just how beautiful people are going to be for you.
Oh, man. That's awesome.
It is.
I hope you're right, and I'm coming to find your ass if you're not.
Dude, I give you my word. What's it looking like now? Because obviously you're going on tour with Freister in America.
Yep.
Have you got any plans, or have you already talked about any future new releases that we can get excited about?
I don't know when it will be.
Right.
But we have begun a very intense process we just got out of for about 4 weeks, where we're living at a studio and a house, and the way I've explained it is like we're like, delicately pouring the best concrete that we can to start building out, what this album's going to be. So I don't even know, man. I haven't listened to a note of it. I went on vacation with my family right after we left, so I know, all I know is what I know, and every day that I was there and we were making things, I was extremely excited and thought it was incredible. So
Is it finished?
No, God, no.
No. Is it like really posh demos, or?
No, I mean, it's the beginning, but
Nice.
it's just we take a while. We kind of we go around in
You can't rush
around in
perfection, man. Look
cycles.
at Radiohead. They take years. Tool, they take years, but then the product's worth it.
We do take a long time, and breaks. I think you ask those guys, and they'd agree that the most important thing is walking away from it for a while to give yourself perspective. And we are at a fortunate spot where, the world isn't banging down our door. We have to release this. We got to reach a deadline. It's like, no, man. Like, I think our fans understand that we care deeply about what we do, and we don't want to present anything. We're proud of what we've done. So adding something else to that becomes harder and harder every time because you got to make sure it's worthy of it.
So do you kind of, now you've come over here to play this show, do you then go away, take some more time to reflect on the stuff that's recorded, digest that, and then come back with a fresh new approach on top of that?
So me and Robert, we got a plan in a couple weeks. We're going to start muting things is the plan. And that's a lot of what we do. We record like a lot of things, and then we start deleting them and seeing what ingredients stick
some
together.
Some people are like, we'll record the bare minimum, the basics, and then add and keep building and building like a picture. But
that's sort of what we do, except we're very, we will just add everything.
Yeah.
It's sort of maximalist in order to be minimalists.
And then strip back bits.
Delete everything.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the 30th thing you try, which was influenced by the 29 things before it, is the thing. And so the 29 things before it have to go away. And you'll realize what the actual thing is.
That's such a unique way of doing it. But then I suppose less is more.
And oh my God, yeah. You just got to make sure that what's there, the less, is really good.
Last time you came on, we filmed it. It was genuinely one of my highlights in 7 years of podcasting. But what I was really loving is you were talking about some of the bands you were listening to, and I think when you were coming to the song choice at the end, you were giving me new music to take away. And I've done that
Who
quite
did
a
I
bit
tell
today.
you?
I will never know.
Okay, you don't know.
But you were talking about Bon Iver and certain songs
cool.
and stuff like this, and we were talking about music. And I just wondered what you're listening to at the moment, or anything new that I can get excited. And if it means you're getting your Spotify out or doing what you need to do.
Let's take a look.
I was just wondering, I just need some new music to listen to, dude. I'm going back and listening to the same albums all the time. And I need to get a grip and just find something new, and accept I'm not that old man at a bar.
So here's the thing that's the bummer. I've been listening pretty extensively to Highway 61 Revisited by Bob Dylan. So that's a good one to just go back to.
Nice.
Most specifically Tombstone Blues. I was listening to that kind of on repeat at the end of this Days in the Studio. I've been listening to Days of Future Past by the Moody Blues. I've been listening to this Bob Dylan record called Shadow Kingdom he did during COVID, which is all his
I've never heard it.
All his old songs, but done again in his new crazy way. And then I've been messing with this James Blake and Lil Yachty record called Bad Cameo. It's really good. That's those are the things I've been listening to. I kind of don't listen to anything in our world when I'm making stuff, you know?
No. I wondered, Dustin came on recently and they redid, obviously because you were part of it, The Artist in the Ambulance.
Yeah.
I've been quite intrigued by bands that are doing this and then getting that chance to put right something they weren't happy with.
Sure.
Is there anything in your world that you would do that with? Are you really happy in looking back with, well, that had belonged because it was that time? Or have you always thought, and I got an itch, like, I would love to go back and do a director's cut of one of my albums?
I think probably for those guys, they would say that the recording of that maybe wasn't the thing that, like, they wanted it to be.
Yeah.
And so it makes sense to me that you can go and do it, and it wasn't like a reimagining as much as just like, yo, listen to this really.
Incubus did it with Morning View recently.
That's right, they did. How
and
was it?
Everyone slagged it off because Brandon now sang as he does now.
Oh, right.
But it's like, well, what do you want me to do? Fucking de-age myself 20 years? That's how he sounds.
But for us, man, I don't know. Like, Manchester's such a like part of just my life. Like, I began it when I was 16. So it's just, it would almost be like trying to like change a painting of a time, and it's like, that is the time. And so warts and all, man, like, you know, you bleed on a record and then that's, your blood's there and that's it.
What's next for you, dude? Are you going to go and enjoy yourself after tonight and go away, or are you going to
I can't. But
my
therapist is telling me to try and chill. But no, I can't. I don't know how to do that. So I just did vacation with my family, so that was good.
Was that chill, or were you just every day going, let's go here, let's go there, let's do everything?
No. My mind wasn't chill, but I forced my body to be chill. My big thing on vacations too is just like, these need to be core memories for my kids. It's okay that I'm not having the best time.
Is that the reason to try and chill more, so they get more dad?
They need to get a good version of me.
Yeah.
And so that may mean
I can't chill, dude.
That may mean panic
chill.
attacks and pacing after they go to bed, but you know, I want them to see, you know, I want to be there to encourage them and be there for them. You know, they don't need to be worried about the fact that I'm a complete psychopath.
The guys behind us saying we need to wrap it up. So as you did in Manchester, any song in the world by any band, any musician, I'm an arsehole. I do appreciate that. I've done you twice dirty for this, but I'm putting you on the spot. As this is all edited, everyone's going to listen.
Yep.
One song.
I'm going to go with the one I've listened to more this year than anything else, and that's Tombstone Blues by Bob Dylan.
Yep.
Great line he says that I've been obsessed with. He's basically talking he says John the Baptist looks at God, and God's holding these dumbbells, and he drops the dumbbell while swatting a fly and looks at the sun and says, that's not yellow, it's chicken. And so I've been kind of obsessed with that song and those lyrics a lot for this year.
Thank you for coming back on, dude.
Thank you, Mark. Love you, man.
So there it is. There's my interview with me and the amazing Andy Hull. What a great guy. I said at the start, he's one of my favourite people on the planet, easily one of the most incredible, unique voices, and that band are just astonishing. If you ever get the opportunity to go and check them out live, you will not regret it. If you're lucky enough to live in America, they're touring with Thrice, which is my favourite band, so those two together is a dream come true. But I can't fly over for those, but my God, that is one stellar lineup. Now, hopefully you've listened to Mark and me before, but if not and you're thinking, why didn't you talk about music? We do normally, and there's an episode already with me and Andy backstage in Manchester, as I said, talking all things music. And that's on YouTube if you want to go and check it out now, or on all the streaming platforms that you can name. But this time, I just wanted to be different. I know Andy absolutely loves film. We've covered music to death. He's going to be talking about music on all the press he does. So I just wanted to change things around. And I hope you guys at home have absolutely loved that and enjoyed a refreshing, completely different topic and just a whole different tone to the interview. But don't worry, on all the specials that are coming out over the next few days at 2000 Trees, it's pretty much music based with all the bands that are playing. But I just wanted to do something slightly different this time round with Andy. Please, after this episode, go and listen to them if you've never heard them before. This band will change your life. I'm not just saying that, they are the greatest set of musicians out there. Their songs are just another experience. Like Radiohead, they'll take you on this journey you were never expecting, and they're just unreal. If you've really enjoyed today's episode, as always guys, please share this episode. It costs you nothing to do. All the links are on markandme.com. There's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Share these episodes and let's get a whole new audience involved, finding out about Mark and me and hopefully falling in love with the podcast and sticking around for the long journey ahead. Also, if you want to go that extra mile, I do have a Patreon account. I can't afford to keep this podcast going without an actual income from there. That doesn't actually mean an income that I get paid. It just basically pays for the hosting of the podcast on all these different directories out there, and allows me to travel the country, like these festivals and upcoming gigs, to record these interviews for you guys at home. Now, I really just want to say before I go, a massive shout out to the sponsor of the podcast, Richer Sounds. If you're in the market for anything to do with audio and visual, go on richersounds.com or visit any of their high street stores and you will not regret it. Again, thank you to Andy from Manchester Orchestra. He didn't do much press at all, and I'm really grateful you took the time to come back on Mark and Me, and I'm so looking forward to hopefully some new music in the near future, maybe a film. You talked about a screenplay. It's going to be incredible whatever you do, and I'm really excited. Thanks again to everyone that's taken the time to listen to this episode. There's going to be a number of specials coming out this week dedicated to 2000 Trees, and I can't wait to share with you all these amazing interviews with such a variety of bands. But I started with my favourite, Manchester Orchestra, and I hope you've all enjoyed it as much as me. Right, I'll be back tomorrow with another brand new episode, so until then, look after yourself, take care, listen to Manchester Orchestra, and I'll speak to you all very soon.
Sweet, pretty things on betting, of course. The city fathers they're trying to endorse. The reincarnation of Paul Revere's horse. But the town has no need to be nervous. The ghost of Belle Starr, she hands down her wits to Jezebel and Nun, she violently knits a bald wig for Jack the Ripper, who sits at the head of the Chamber of Commerce. Mama's in a factory, she ain't got no shoes. Daddy's in the alley, he's looking for food. I'm in the kitchen with the Tombstone Blues. Hysterical bride in the penny arcade, screaming she moans, I've just been made. Then sends out for the doctor who pulls down the shade and says, my advice is to not let the boys in. Now the medicine man comes and he shuffles inside. He walks with a swagger and he says to the bride, stop all this weeping, swallow your pride. You will not die, it's not poison. Mama's in a factory, she ain't got no shoes. Daddy's in the alley, he's looking for food. I'm in the kitchen with the Tombstone Blues. Well, John the Baptist, after torturing a thief, looks up at his hero, the commander-in-chief, saying, tell me, great hero, but please make it brief. Is there a hole for me to get sick in? The commander-in-chief answers him while chasing a fly, saying, death to all those who would whimper and cry. And dropping a barbell, he points to the sky, saying, the sun's not yellow, it's chicken. Mama's in a factory, she ain't got no shoes. Daddy's in the alley, he's looking for food. I'm in the kitchen with the Tombstone Blues. King of the Philistines, his soldiers to save, puts jawbones on their tombstones and flatters their graves, puts the Pied Pipers in prison and fattens the slaves, then sends them out to the jungle. Gypsy Davy with a blowtorch, he burns out their camps. With his faithful slave Pedro behind him he tramps. with a fantastic collection of stamps to win friends and influence his uncle. Mama's in a factory, she ain't got no shoes. Daddy's in the alley, he's looking for food. I'm in trouble with the Tombstone Blues. Geometry of innocent flesh on the bone causes Galileo's math book to get thrown at Delilah, who's sitting worthlessly alone, but the tears on her cheeks are from laughter. I wish I could give Brother Bill his great thrill. I would set him in chains at the top of the hill, then send out for some pillars and Cecil B. DeMille. He could die happily ever after. Mama's in a factory, she ain't got no shoes. Daddy's in the alley, he's looking for food. I'm in the kitchen with the Tombstone Blues. Beethoven once unwrapped a bedroll. Tuba players now rehearse around the flagpole. And the National Bank at a profit sells roadmaps for the soul to the old folks' home and the college. I wish I could write you a melody so plain that could hold you, dear lady, from going insane, that could ease you and cool you and cease the pain of your useless and pointless knowledge. Mama's in the factory, she ain't got no shoes. Daddy's in the alley, he's looking for food. I'm in the kitchen with the Tombstone Blues.